A nurse. Plain clothes. No makeup. Invisible to everyone. The pilots are down. The plane is falling. 200 people are screaming. Someone jokes, "Try the lady in 14C." Derek laughs the loudest. He had no idea. That quiet woman had already saved lives before. Just never at 38,000 feet. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The alarm is screaming. Not a soft beep. Not a gentle warning. A full, hard, aggressive alarm, the kind that means something has already gone very wrong. Captain David Reeves is slumped forward over the controls. His head is down. His hands are limp. The coffee cup next to him has tipped over and spilled all across the instrument panel. First Officer Mike Torres is on the floor. Not sitting. Not resting. On the floor. Flight Attendant James Chen is standing at the cockpit door. His hand is pressed flat against the wall. His face is the color of paper. He looks at the captain. He looks at the first officer. He looks at the controls, lights flashing red and yellow everywhere, and he does not move. Because James does not know what to do. Nobody in that cockpit does. The plane is flying itself. For now. But the autopilot indicator is blinking. Slowly. The way a candle blinks right before it goes out. The cabin is quiet. Most people are asleep. The reading lights are off. Someone near the back is snoring. A child is pressed against her mother's arm with her eyes closed. Seat 14C. Window seat. A woman. Plain clothes. No makeup. Dark circles under her eyes. Her head is leaning against the window, and her eyes are shut, and she looks like any other tired person on any other late-night flight going anywhere. Her name is Sarah Chen. And then. The alarm reaches her. Not through the wall. Not through the cockpit door. Through something else. Something deeper. The frequency of it. The specific pitch of it. The way it layers, one tone over another over another. Her eyes open. Slowly. All the way. Completely awake in one single second. She doesn't look around. She doesn't ask the man next to her what that sound is. She doesn't press the call button. She just stares straight ahead at the seat back in front of her. And you can see something moving behind her eyes. Something old. Something she put away a long time ago. Something she told herself she would never need again. She had heard that alarm once before. The last time. She lost everything. The boarding gate, 2 hours earlier. You are sitting at gate B14. You are tired. Your flight has been delayed 40 minutes. The plastic seat is uncomfortable. The coffee from the kiosk near the bathrooms is bad, but you are drinking it anyway because it is all there is. You do not notice the woman sitting 3 seats away from you. Nobody does. Sarah Chen, 31 years old, is sitting with a small gray backpack on her lap and a paper cup of coffee in her hand. She is wearing a dark blue hoodie and black pants. Her hair is pulled back in a simple way. She has no headphones, no laptop, no book. She is just sitting. Looking at nothing. Or maybe looking at something that only she can see. She looks tired in a way that is not about the flight. She looks tired in a way that has been building for years. The boarding announcement comes. People stand up and form a line. Sarah stands up slowly, picks up her bag, and joins the back of the line. That is when Derek Mason walks into her. Not a soft bump. A hard bump. Shoulder into shoulder, full speed, because Derek is walking fast and looking at his phone, and he has been a man who walks fast and looks at his phone his entire life without anything bad ever happening because of it. The coffee flies out of Sarah's hand. Hot coffee on the floor. On her hoodie sleeve. On her shoe. Derek looks down at the mess. Then he looks up at Sarah. For 1 second, just one, you think he is going to say sorry. You think any normal person would say sorry. He says, "Watch where you're going." And then he walks past her. Sarah stands there. Coffee dripping off her sleeve. She does not say anything. She does not call after him. She does not make a face or roll her eyes or shake her head the way most people would. She just reaches down, picks up the empty cup, throws it in the bin, and gets back in line. On the plane, it continues. The flight attendant, a young woman with a cart and a rushed expression, goes row by row with the meal options. Chicken or pasta. She reaches row 14. She hands a meal to the man in 14A. She looks at Derek in 14B. Chicken or pasta, sir? Derek says chicken without looking up from his laptop. She moves on. To row 15. Sarah, in 14C, watches the cart roll away. She did not get a meal. She does not press the call button. She looks at her hands for a moment. Then she turns and looks out the window at the dark sky and the city lights far below, and she is quiet. The man in 14B, Derek, is already eating his chicken and watching something on his laptop with small earbuds in his ears. He does not notice. Nobody notices Sarah Chen. That is something she is used to. Green light. Bright sky. Sarah is 24 years old and she is wearing an Air Force flight suit, and she is in the cockpit of a C-130 transport aircraft, and she is exactly where she wants to be in the entire world. Her co-pilot is Marcus Webb. He has been her co-pilot for 2 years. He has a laugh that fills the entire cockpit, and he talks too much and he makes bad jokes, and she trusts him more than she has ever trusted anyone. "You're too slow on the checklist, Chen," Marcus says, grinning. "I'm always too slow for you," she says. "You're always in a hurry." "Life is short," he says. He says it like a joke. Like everything is a joke. Radio chatter. Clear skies. Routine mission. Everything is normal. And then it is not normal. The sound comes first. A bang, not like a crash, more like a door slamming inside the aircraft. Then the vibration. Then the alarm, that specific layered alarm, and Marcus is saying something and she is reaching for the controls and smoke. Fire on the left engine. Controls going wrong in her hands. And Marcus. Cut hard, back to seat 14C. Sarah's eyes are open. She is looking out the window. Her right hand is pressed flat against her knee. She lets out a slow breath. She closes her eyes. She goes to sleep. Seat 14C. Window seat. Plain clothes. Tired eyes. Invisible to everyone around her. In 4 hours, every single person on this plane would know her name. United Flight 1182, 38,000 feet, 1:47 a.m. It starts in the galley. The captain had the salmon. The first officer had the pasta. The same pasta that has been sitting in the same temperature-controlled tray for the same number of hours on 20 other flights this week without any problem. Tonight it is a problem. Tonight the bacteria in that tray have done something that no amount of protocol or food safety checklist could have predicted, and the result is that both pilots are now completely incapacitated, and the plane, United Flight 1182, a Boeing 737-800, carrying 194 passengers and 6 crew, at 38,000 feet over the American Midwest, is flying on autopilot. The autopilot that has been blinking for the last 8 minutes. James, the flight attendant, is 29 years old. He has been working for this airline for 3 years. He has done the safety training. He knows where the life vests are. He knows how to handle a medical emergency in the cabin. He was not trained for this. He stands in the aisle between rows 11 and 12, and his voice, when it finally comes out, is too high and too tight. Does anyone here know how to fly a plane? Is there anyone, a pilot, anyone with flight experience? Silence. Then nervous laughter. The kind of laughter people do when they are scared and they do not know what else to do. Someone in row 8 says, "Are you serious right now?" A man near the back says, "What is happening?" And then a voice from somewhere in the middle of the plane, a joking voice, a laughing voice, a voice that is treating this like it cannot possibly be real, says, "Try the lady in 14C. She looks like she knows everything." Laughter. A few people. Not a lot. But enough. Derek laughs the loudest. Sarah is already awake. She has been awake since the alarm. She has been sitting in seat 14C with her eyes open and her hands in her lap, and she has been listening, really listening, and she already knows. She already knows what the alarm means. She already knows what James's voice means. She already knows what she has to do. She does not want to do it. She has not wanted to do it for 7 years. But she stands up. She picks up nothing. She takes nothing with her. She just stands up from seat 14C and she moves toward the front of the plane, and James sees her coming, and his face says, "You?" And also, "Please, anyone, yes, you." "What's your name?" he says. "Sarah." "Let me in." "Are you a pilot?" "I was." "Open the door, James." He opens the door. She steps into the cockpit. She stops. 4 seconds. That is all she takes. 4 seconds to look at everything. Captain forward over the controls. First officer on the floor, pulse present, breathing. Autopilot blinking, estimated failure in 6 to 12 minutes based on the indicator pattern. Fuel state, lower than it should be, possibly a slow bleed from a sensor issue. Weather radar on the right screen showing a thick red and orange mass directly ahead. Storm. 4 seconds. Her body is already moving toward the captain's seat before her mind finishes the assessment. She lifts the captain gently, carefully, the way she moves unconscious patients every single day at work, knowing exactly how to move a body without causing more damage, and she guides him to the side. She sits down in his seat. Her hands find the controls. It is the strangest feeling. Her hands know this. Her hands remember. 7 years away, 7 years of hospitals and ICUs and pressing down on chests and pushing medication into lines, 7 years of trying to forget, and her hands still know. She picks up the radio. Her voice is calm. Completely, absolutely calm. The way it is calm when she is standing at a bedside at 3 a.m. and every alarm is going off and the family is crying in the hallway and she has to be the stillest thing in the room. Chicago Center, this is United 1182 Heavy. I need immediate assistance. Both pilots are incapacitated. I am declaring an emergency. Souls on board, 200. Fuel state, lower than planned. I have weather directly ahead. Static. A long pause. Then a voice. Male, controlled, but with something underneath it, something tighter than normal. United 1182, Chicago Center copies your emergency. Please confirm, who is on the controls at this time? My name is Sarah Chen. I am a registered nurse. I am also a former United States Air Force pilot. C-130 qualified. I have not flown in 7 years. But I am what you have right now, so I would like to skip the part where you spend 10 minutes deciding whether to believe me and go straight to helping me fly this airplane. A pause. A shorter pause this time. United 1182, we copy. Stand by for emergency frequency. You are not alone up there. Sarah exhales. One breath. Thank you, Chicago Center. She looks out at the windshield. At the red and orange mass on the weather radar. At the lightning flickering somewhere deep inside that cloud. Chicago Center was not her biggest problem. The storm was. Cabin, United 1182. James walks back into the cabin. He stands at the front. He holds the intercom phone. He looks at 194 faces looking back at him. Some of them already know something is wrong. Some of them are still half asleep. All of them are about to find out. He presses the button. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your flight attendant speaking. I need everyone to remain calm and seated. We are experiencing a medical situation with our flight crew. We have someone in the cockpit who is handling the aircraft. Emergency services have been notified and we are. He does not finish the sentence. Because the cabin has already broken. Screaming. Not from everyone, from maybe 10 people, but 10 people screaming in a metal tube at 38,000 feet is enough. A woman near the back is pressing her phone to her ear and crying. A man in row 6 is up out of his seat yelling something about his children. 2 college students in row 22 are holding each other's arms and shaking. Phones come out. Everyone who is not screaming is filming or texting or both. Derek Mason, 14B, stands up from his seat. A nurse? You put a nurse in the cockpit? We're 40,000 feet in the air and we have a nurse flying this plane. His voice is loud enough that half the cabin hears him. We are all going to die because someone put a nurse in charge of a Boeing 737. Sir, please sit down. Don't tell me to sit down, this is insane. In 15A, the elderly woman does not scream. Her name, though no one on this plane knows it, is Evelyn Park. She is 73 years old. She is flying to visit her daughter who just had a baby. She has a small silver cross around her neck. She folds her hands. She closes her eyes. Her lips begin to move. In the cockpit, Sarah hears none of this. Or rather, she hears all of it, muffled, through the door, the screaming, Derek's voice rising above everyone else, and she does not react. She does not turn around. She does not clench her jaw or tighten her hands on the controls. She just looks out the window. And then the window lights up. Lightning. Inside the cloud ahead. A deep, branching flash, there and gone, like something enormous breathing. Escalation, the storm. The turbulence hits without warning. The plane drops. Not far, maybe 20 feet, but fast. That weightless feeling in the stomach that makes everyone on an airplane remember, all at once, that they are in a metal tube in the sky and gravity exists. Overhead bins fly open. Bags drop. A water bottle rolls down the aisle. The screaming in the cabin doubles. Sarah's hands are already moving. She needs to go around the cell. She cannot go through it, not in this aircraft, not with her fuel state, not when she has no co-pilot to manage the systems while she flies. She needs to find the edge of it, go around the south side, and come out the other side with enough fuel to reach an airport. She is calculating distance, heading, fuel burn, time. Her hands are flying the plane at the same time her brain is doing the math. 2 things at once. The way she manages 3 critical patients at the same time in the ICU. The way she always works, quiet, fast, parallel. United 1182, Chicago Center. We are coordinating a diversion for you. Recommend heading 290 for weather avoidance. Can you accept? Chicago Center, I'm already looking at 290. Turning now. She banks the aircraft. Gently. Deliberately. The turn that a passenger feels as a slight tilt, the kind that makes people look out the window, and she holds it, and she watches the weather radar, and she is reading it the way she reads a patient monitor, watching the numbers, watching the trend, looking for what is getting better and what is getting worse. The storm cell slides slowly to the right on the radar. They are going around it. And then something appears off the left wing. A shape. Dark against the dark sky. Moving at their exact speed. Exactly matching their altitude. A fighter jet. Clean lines. No commercial markings. Running lights only. The radio crackles. United 1182, this is Ghost 1, United States Air Force. I have been assigned to escort your aircraft. I am off your left wing. I have eyes on the weather, eyes on your aircraft, and I am not going anywhere. How are you doing up there? Sarah looks out the left window at the shape flying beside her. She has not had a wingman in 7 years. Something in her chest moves. Ghost 1, United 1182. I am, managing. Thank you for being here. Copy that, 1182. You're not alone. What do you need? For the first time since she sat down in this seat, Sarah allows herself one small thing that is not calculation or assessment or control. She exhales slowly. Right now I just need you to stay where you are. I'm not going anywhere, 1182. Promise. The heavy tension shifts slightly, still serious, but now there is something else in it, something like hope. Escalation, the fuel warning. The alarm is soft. Almost polite. A gentle chime, the kind you could almost miss if you were not listening. Sarah was listening. Low fuel warning. She looks at the gauge. Confirms what the gauge says with the second gauge. Confirms the rate of consumption. Does the math, the same math she was already doing, but now with a new number in it, a smaller number, a number that changes everything. The original destination is out. Too far. Too much fuel required. Not possible. She keys the radio. Chicago Center, United 1182. I have a low fuel indication. I need a diversion airport. Closest available with a runway that can handle a 737. United 1182, stand by. A pause. 12 seconds. Sarah counts them. United 1182, we are showing Rockfield Regional as closest available. Runway length is 7,200 feet. Sarah says nothing. 7,200 feet. A 737 to 800 at landing weight, she runs the number, needs approximately 5,500 feet minimum in normal conditions. With a crosswind. With a pilot who has not landed this aircraft type in 7 years. With 194 passengers. With emergency services but no full crash crew. Minimum. In normal conditions. Ghost 1, are you aware of the diversion airport? 1182, yes. I know Rockfield. It's short. But it's there, and you can do it. You sound very confident. I've seen pilots land in worse. Much worse. Sarah goes quiet. 10 full seconds. Ghost 1 waits. United 1182, Chicago Center. Are you able to accept Rockfield? 10 seconds becomes 11. 12. 1182, you still with me? Ghost 1, softer now. Sarah looks at the fuel gauge. Looks at the runway data on the approach chart. Looks at the 194 people behind that door. Yes. I'm calculating. Full 3 seconds of silence. What she calculated in those 3 seconds would either save 200 lives. Or end them. Escalation, the guilt returns. She is selecting the Rockfield approach when it comes. Not slowly. Not gently. The way memories come when you have been running from them for 7 years, all at once, without permission, without warning. The cockpit of the C-130. Marcus. Sunny day. The radio chatter. The bad joke he was making when the engine exploded. The sound of metal tearing. Her hands on the controls going wrong, she is pulling left when she should go right, she is making a decision in half a second that she will spend the next 7 years going back to, turning over, holding up to the light and looking at from every angle. Marcus's voice. Not screaming. Worse than screaming. Quiet. Sarah. 1182, your altitude is drifting. Ghost One's voice. Steady. No alarm in it, just a quiet, professional observation. Sarah's hands are shaking. She looks at them. The altimeter, she has drifted 200 feet low without noticing. She corrects. The hands are still shaking. She has not had shaking hands in a cockpit since. She closes her eyes. 1 second. Just one. The longest second of this entire flight. Marcus's face. The explosion. 7 years of carrying it. 7 years of working in an ICU because she could not go back to a cockpit. 7 years of being invisible because she did not trust herself to be seen. She opens her eyes. The runway at Rockfield is ahead of her somewhere in the dark. 194 people are behind that door. Not today. Her hands stop shaking. The altimeter holds steady. Ghost 1, United 1182. I am ready to begin the approach. A pause. Then Ghost One's voice, and there is something in it, not just military professionalism, but something else, something that sounds like a person who has been watching her fly this airplane for the last 40 minutes and is genuinely impressed. Copy, 1182. Let's bring them home. Approach, Rockfield Regional Airport. Everything quieter now, tension but different, like a breath being held. 3,000 feet. The lights of Rockfield appear below. Small lights. A small airport. Not O'Hare, not Midway, not anywhere Sarah has ever landed before. A regional strip in the middle of darkness and flat land with its runway lights on and its emergency vehicles lined up along the edge. She can see their lights from here, red and blue and white, the colors of a situation that everyone on the ground knows is serious. She runs through the checklist. Not from a card. From memory. The way she runs through a crash cart checklist. The items in order, the sequence built into muscle memory, the kind of knowledge that does not live in your brain but in your hands and your eyes and some part of you that takes over when the rest of you is scared. Flaps. Landing gear. Speed. Descent rate. Ghost 1, gear check. 1182, your gear looks good from here. 3 green. Copy. 2,000 feet. In the cabin, something has changed. The screaming stopped 10 minutes ago. The filming stopped 5 minutes ago. Now it is just stillness. The strange, complete stillness of people who have moved past the point of panic into something quieter and more serious. Derek Mason is in his seat. He is not on his phone. He is not saying anything. He is sitting with his hands flat on his thighs and his eyes closed and his lips are pressed together tight. Is he praying? He would tell you he does not pray. He is praying. James the flight attendant is at his jump seat at the front of the cabin. He has his seatbelt buckled. He has the intercom in his lap. His eyes are moving between the cockpit door and the passengers and back to the cockpit door. In 15A, Evelyn Park has not stopped praying since she started. Her hands are still folded. Her lips are still moving. Her eyes are still closed. The child near the back of the plane is asleep against her mother. The mother is holding her very tightly with both arms. Nobody talks. The plane descends. 1,000 feet. United 1182, Rockfield Tower. You are cleared to land runway 28. Wind is from 270 at 22 knots. Emergency services are standing by. Crosswind caution advised. 22 knots of crosswind. Sarah had been hoping for less. You always hope for less. Rockfield Tower, United 1182, cleared to land runway 28. Thank you. She adjusts. Crab angle, turning the nose slightly into the wind so the aircraft tracks straight down the runway centerline despite the wind pushing from the side. It looks wrong from outside, flying slightly sideways, but it is correct. Everything must be correct now. No margin. No room for a second attempt. Fuel state says this is the one and only approach. Ghost 1, I'm on final. 22 knot crosswind. Copy, 1182. You've flown in worse. Had she? She thinks of the C-130. The training flights in bad weather. Crosswind landings on short strips overseas. A different Sarah, a younger Sarah, a Sarah who had not yet lost Marcus or her nerve or 7 years. She has flown in worse. Gear down. 500 feet. The runway is in the windshield now. She can see it clearly, the white centerline markings, the touchdown zone markers, the approach lights leading her in. It looks small. Even after everything she knows about runway geometry, even after doing the math 100 times in her head, it looks small. 300 feet. 1182, looking good, Ghost 1 says quietly. Speed is good. Track is good. You've got this. 200 feet. And then the plane drops. Not a small drop. Not a polite turbulence bump. 40 feet. In 1 second. Like the sky opened beneath them. The cabin screams. Every person in that aircraft who was not already screaming is now screaming. Bags fall. Someone's drink hits the ceiling. A phone skids down the aisle. Sarah's stomach is in her throat. The altimeter jumped 40 feet low. The ground is coming up too fast. The runway threshold is right there, she can count the approach lights going past below her, she is too low, she is going to hit the threshold. She pulls back. Nose up. Power in. Hard. The aircraft responds, this beautiful, obedient machine that has been carrying her and 194 people through a storm and a fuel emergency and 7 years of her guilt, it responds, it rises, the nose comes up. Too much. She overcorrects. The nose is too high. The speed is bleeding off. The stall warning is beginning. Easy. Ghost 1. His voice is so calm it does not sound like a person. It sounds like the voice of someone who has been in this moment before, in some other aircraft, in some other emergency, and came out the other side. Easy. You have the plane. Trust yourself. 1 second. Sarah Chen, 31 years old, former Air Force pilot, ICU nurse, invisible woman in seat 14C, releases the pressure on the back pressure. Eases the nose down. Brings the power back just slightly. Lets the aircraft fly. Not fights it. Lets it fly. 50 feet. 30 feet. She is crabbed into the wind, flying sideways to the runway, and at the last possible second she kicks the rudder, right rudder, firm and precise, and the nose swings left, aligned with the centerline, and the wings level, and 10 feet. The right main gear touches first. Then the left main gear. Then the nose gear, gentle, controlled, exactly the way it is supposed to happen. The thrust reversers deploy, loud, roaring, a sound like the aircraft itself exhaling, and Sarah stands on the brakes, firm and steady, and the plane slows, and slows, and slows. And stops. 400 feet from the end of the runway. 3 seconds of total, complete, absolute silence. You could hear everything in those 3 seconds. You could hear people breathing. You could hear Evelyn Park's quiet voice. You could hear the hiss of the aircraft systems, the distant sound of emergency vehicles beginning to move, the tick of hot metal cooling. 3 seconds. And then it breaks. It breaks the way a dam breaks, not slowly, not in pieces, but all at once. Crying. Screaming. Laughing. Clapping. People hugging strangers they have never spoken to. A man in row 4 who cried during his wedding and not one other time in his adult life is sobbing with his face in both hands. Two women in row 17 who do not speak each other's language are holding each other by the shoulders and laughing the same laugh. James the flight attendant stands up from his jump seat. He sits back down. He laughs. He cries. He does both at the same time. He covers his face. He uncovers it. There are no words for what he is doing. It is just, release. Pure, complete release. Derek Mason. Derek Mason, who bumped into Sarah at the boarding gate and did not apologize. Who laughed at the joke about the woman in 14C. Who stood up in the cabin and said we are all going to die because a nurse is flying this plane. Derek Mason puts his face in his hands. And he weeps. Not politely. Not quietly. He weeps the way a person weeps when they have been very afraid and then are suddenly safe and the feeling of it is too big for their body. In 15A, Evelyn Park opens her eyes. She looks up at the ceiling of the aircraft. She whispers, "Thank you." Just that. Just 2 words. Sarah does not move. Her hands are still on the controls. Both of them, exactly where they were when the wheels touched. Her eyes are looking straight out the windshield at the runway lights stretching ahead of her, at the emergency vehicles pulling up alongside, at the long flat darkness of the airfield at night. She can hear the cabin behind her. All of it. All of them. She does not move. She just looks at the runway. At the lights. At the 400 feet of runway that is left. At the fact that they are here. On the ground. Still. Her lips part. "I'm sorry, Marcus." Her voice is barely there. Barely a sound. Just breath shaped into words. "I'm sorry it took so long. I finally brought them home." Rockfield Regional Airport, tarmac. The emergency doors open. The stairs roll up to the forward door. Cold air comes in. Real air. Ground air. The air of a place that is not the sky. Passengers move toward the exits. Some still crying. Some holding each other. Some walking on legs that are not entirely steady, the way you walk when your body is only beginning to understand that it is safe. Sarah is last. She stays in the cockpit while the medics come in and attend to the captain and the first officer, both alive, both going to be okay, both dehydrated and sick but not in danger. She watches them work. She knows how to stay out of the way of medical people doing their job. When they are done, when the cockpit is empty and quiet, she stands up. She looks at the seat she sat in for the last hour and a half. She picks up nothing. She has nothing to pick up. She walks out of the cockpit and into the cabin. The cabin is almost empty now. Most passengers have already gone down the stairs and out onto the tarmac. A few are still gathered near the exits, moving slowly. But James is there. Still at his post at the front of the cabin. He looks at her. He does not have words. He opens his mouth. He closes it. Sarah puts her hand briefly on his arm. "You did well," she says. "You kept them calm. That mattered." James nods. He is going to cry again. She can see it. She moves toward the door. She steps out. The tarmac. Night air. The smell of jet fuel and cold and cut grass. Emergency lights still rotating, red, blue, white. Ambulances, fire trucks, police vehicles, news vans already gathering at the perimeter fence. And the passengers. They are gathered at the bottom of the stairs and on the tarmac, and some of them are just standing there, and when Sarah appears in the doorway, it goes quiet. Not the silence of fear. Not the silence of shock. A different kind of silence. The kind that happens before something. She walks down the stairs. She steps onto the tarmac. And every single person who is standing there turns to face her. 200 people. Not quite all standing, some are sitting on the edge of the equipment trucks, some are wrapped in emergency blankets. But those who can stand are standing. And not one of them makes a sound. Derek Mason is near the front. He looks different. The same face, same suit, same hair, but something in it is different. Something has been taken out of it. Something that was there at the boarding gate when he walked into Sarah and did not say sorry. He steps forward. He cannot speak. He just puts out his hand. Sarah looks at it. She looks at him. She takes his hand and shakes it. She does not say anything. She does not need to. She is walking toward the terminal building when she hears the sound. A roar. Getting louder and then dropping. A fighter jet, somewhere close. Then the sound of it taxiing. She turns. Ghost 1. The F-22 has landed at Rockfield. It is parked 200 feet away across the tarmac. The canopy is coming up. The ladder is going up against the side. A pilot climbs down. He is still in his flight gear. Helmet off, carrying it in one hand. He is tall, broad-shouldered, and he walks straight toward Sarah without looking anywhere else. He stops in front of her. He looks at her for a moment without speaking. His face is the face of a military pilot who has seen hard things, done hard things, kept his composure through hard things. He says, "Where did you train?" Sarah looks at him. Almost a smile. The beginning of one. "A long time ago," she says. He nods. He looks at her the way one pilot looks at another pilot who has just done something that most pilots would find very difficult. "Yeah," he says. "You flew like it wasn't that long ago. There is a thing that happens to people who are quiet. Who are overlooked. Who go to the back of the boarding line without complaining. Who do not get their meal and do not press the call button. Who walk through the world in plain clothes with tired eyes and nobody thinks to ask what is behind those eyes. The world decides what they are. And the world is often wrong." Sarah Chin spent 7 years carrying the weight of a day that went wrong and a man named Marcus who did not come home. She spent 7 years pouring that guilt into the hardest, most important work she could find, holding lives in her hands every single day in an ICU, being the stillest thing in the room when everything was going wrong. She spent 7 years being invisible. And then a plane full of people needed the one person who could bring them home. She did not do it because she had something to prove. She did it because the alarm sounded, and she knew what the alarm meant, and there was no one else. That is the thing about the people the world underestimates. They are not waiting for their moment. They are not rehearsing their speech. They are not imagining the applause. They are just ready. They have always been ready. They laughed at the nurse in 14C. They did not know she had already saved lives every single day, just never at 38,000 feet. Until today.